Hi there. So many of you have asked if I could do a brow tutorial. Now, I am not a professional makeup artist, and I'm not also a bright young thing who spends hours making these incredibly beautiful sculpted eyebrows, but I have learned a few tricks about how to get your brows in better shape so they frame your face and give you a lift. It's like a little mini eye lift, and it's just a bit of makeup wizardry. So here we go. So the first thing that I do always is I dye my eyebrows, and this is because our eyebrows get grey and fade just like the hair on our heads. So dyeing them actually helps to frame your face and gives you a more youthful look. So this is something that I do. I've used something called Eyebrow. They make a special brow dye. It's a permanent tint for brows. Sounds a bit scary, but it's not. It's fine, I promise you. It comes in a little box, and I'll show you what you do with it. It's really super easy to do. I did mine about a week ago. Something I might do maybe once a month, because I tend to find that I get little grey hairs. It's amazing actually when you do the dyeing and you suddenly take the dye off and you've got these really beautiful, quite strong eyebrows that then help to frame the rest of your face. So like most dyes, you get the actual dye solution and then you get the activator. So you have to mix it. It's like when you go to the hairdressers, if you have hair dye and they mix it up for you. So it comes in a little pot like this. So you do a few drops of the activating liquid with a little bit of the cream. This is a dark brown. And then you mix it together and it comes with a little brush like this, tiny little brush. And you just use that to brush it through. You don't want to get it on your skin. I mean, if you can, it will come off. You can rub it off. But ideally, what you want to do maybe is just put a little bit of lanolin cream or Vaseline or something just under here and around there, or even just a thick moisturizer. So if you do get it on your skin, it's not going to stain it. But try and just keep it like that as much as you can. And it's amazing how these little fine hairs here can suddenly get definition. So you just get kind of thicker looking brows instantly. It's really good. So you leave that on for, I think it's about 5 minutes. It says in the pack anyway exactly how long to do it. You can always do a patch test first if you want to. If you've got sensitive skin, it's always good to do 24-hour patch test just on the inside of your arm or somewhere where it won't show. And then I use cotton pads just dipped in water so that they are damp, and I just use that just to wipe it away, and then voila, you've got darker brows. So even if you're quite fair, you can try it. I wouldn't go with the dark brown. I'd go just maybe back to your natural colour, or maybe one shade darker. And you can always just try it for a few minutes to reduce the intensity, and then when you get a bit more confident with it, then you could perhaps leave it on for longer. So I've got my brows darkened. I then do some plucking, and it's much easier actually to pluck your eyebrows if you've got dark eyebrows, because then you can see what you're doing. So you need a magnifying mirror. So I've got a magnifying mirror in my bathroom, so that's what I would always use. And then I use a really good quality pair of tweezers. These are made by Tweezerman. They're a bit more expensive than regular tweezers, but they have got really good angled edges and they last forever. So they're a really good investment, really good piece of kit. Now I'm going to move my regular makeup mirror just to the side here, just so that I can actually see what I'm doing. And I think the key thing is not to overpluck. Many of us from way back will have overplucked our eyebrows, and of course they tend not to come back, so you need to be careful. So the shape really, as a guide, is if you take a pencil or a makeup brush or whatever, and you hold it against the bridge of your nose, that's a good starting point just here for your brows. So you're plucking in the middle so you don't get a kind of monobrow, unless you're Cara Delevingne and you want that look, which is super trendy, obviously, but I don't want that. So I'm going to just pluck from here, and the same that side. So I'm going to leave these lovely longer pieces of hair here, and then take it out, taper it. Again, if you use your eye pencil, and just imagine that you've given yourself a little eye flick like that. So you get this kind of shape. And then never pluck above your brow, okay? Unless you've got a massive, great stray hair that's kind of poking out at the top. But you just want to keep that clean, and you pluck underneath. So you pluck underneath in a little natural arch. And of course, if you've dyed your brows, then it's really easy to see where these little hairs are. You can also wax them. So you can get home waxing strips, and you can just cut them to shape, and you can just very carefully put them under here and then whisk them off, and that whisks away all the little hairs and gives you a really neat finish. I don't do that because I prefer a slightly more natural look, but it's, you know, if you want something that's a bit sharper, then you can easily do that. Okay, so you're just really taking these away here. Then the next thing to do is to do a bit of filling in. So obviously as we get older, we tend to lose our hair, our brows get sparser, maybe we've overplucked them in our youth. So actually filling in is a really helpful thing to do. So there are two ways that you can do this. You can either use a shadow, or you can use a crayon, or you could use a mixture of the two. Having a special brush is really helpful. I have not got mine here, but I will put it in the notes, because you can buy little applicator brushes that are kind of angled at one end and they're quite pointy, and then they also have like a brush, like a dry mascara brush at the other end for brushing your eyebrows, and that's the trick that you do at the end. But you could use something like a lip brush, or you could use an eyeliner brush like this, just something that's got a little bit of an end to it. And choose a colour that matches your eyebrows, maybe a shade darker. I've been using the Beauty Pie palette. I really like this. This one is the 10 Best Matte Eyeshadow Shades, it's called. You can see I've been using it quite a lot. So those are the shadow colours. So these would be quite good here for my eyebrows. I also use sometimes a MAC colour. This is one that I used in my original makeup tutorial. It's called Kid, and I just use it very often on my eyelids. And then if I want to do my eyebrows, I would take this and then I would use this to fill in here. So I'm actually going to do this in my mirror over here so I can see. So I've got a bit of sparseness right here. So that's what I'm just going to subtly fill in using a shadow that matches. Which I think what I might do is I'm going to switch to this palette, this Beauty Pie palette, and just sort of mix. You can, you know, do whatever you want really, just to adjust the colours. So you don't have to use one colour. That's the other trick, is if you've got eyeshadows and you can use a variety of different similar shades, but it will give you a more natural look. What I'm actually doing here is extending the edge. Sorry, I've never done this before, so it's a bit hard to judge, but I'm just extending very gently the edge of that, just to give me a slightly longer, slightly more elegant look. So that's really filled those in nicely. I'm going to do the same the other side. You don't want the shadow to drip, so whenever you've taken your colours, give your brush a little shake or a little blow. Otherwise you're going to get bits of dark shadow that's dropped onto your face. I have actually pretty much done my makeup today, just a really simple makeup basic one that I did before, and you can do your brows at the end. And again, just work your brush, just kind of wiggling the shadow along here like that, just to get a bit more definition. And play around with it. You know, if you are very blonde, you're not going to want to go very dark. So if you're very blonde, you might want to use a sort of dark blonde shadow. And again, you can just use that to taper off at the end like that. The other thing that you can do, which I also really like, this is made by MAC, the professional makeup company, and this is an eyebrow crayon. So it's got a little teeny weeny end to it. Can you see on that? And this is the MAC. It's called Lingering Eyebrows, and it is in, not sure what shade it's in actually. I'll find it and put it on the link. It's a brownie colour anyway, but it's really nice because it's a soft, sort of smudgy brown. And if you want a more defined end to your brows, if you find that you haven't really got much at the end here, you can just do that with a pencil, because it gives you a little bit more definition. The shadow is softer, the pencil will give you a bit more definition. If you're using the pencil, don't just draw it on, because that's going to look like a crayon. You want to work upwards in little flicky movements like that. Okay? And then last but not least, really important part is the kind of the combing and the grooming bit. And what I do with a little dry eyebrow brush like this is I use it just to really kind of push the colour onto the brow within it, because you don't want it rubbing off. You want to make it kind of sit on the skin with your eyebrows above it, just sat on the coloured skin beneath. And honestly, combing your eyebrows upwards, lifting them up, is a really good way of just giving you that lift to your eyes. It's like an instant little eye lift. Often our eyebrows are kind of just down like this, okay? And just lifting them up, combing them through with the colour, give a bit of definition. And then lastly, so that you don't even have to think about that for the rest of the day, so I comb them all the way up here like this, and then smooth them at the edges. So up here, and then smooth, to get that nice tapering effect. See how my eyes are kind of lifted up by that? And then what I do is I use a little bit of hairspray. This is actually a nice one. This is by a guy called Mark Hill, and I like it because it's just a little makeup bag sized one. And you can put this on your brush, and you can just brush that through while it's still damp on the brush. And what that does, just like setting your hair with hairspray, this is setting your eyebrows. But it doesn't look all crunchy and stiff like a brow gel. It just looks like eyebrows. So there you are. I hope it's helpful. I'll put the links to everything I've used in my link, which, depending on how you're looking at this, will depend on where you click to find it, but it'll be all there. And if you like it, let me know, leave me a comment, let me know what you'd like to see more of. Bye.